Yo, what's going on, guys? Wanted to give you guys a quick update video for the Fiora build guide, right? Since I dropped my guide, I've kind of switched up how I've been playing Fiora. Like, I've been taking different runes and different builds and items and stuff than what you saw in my full Fiora guide video, like the hour and a half one. So I thought I'd make this video real quick to update you all. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with runes. Yeah, there's 3 main rune pages I take right now. You'll notice I really like Inspiration Tree a lot. Secondary, I take it every single game. No matter what rune page I run or Keystone, I always go Inspiration second. I think you should too. I think that Cookies and Cosmic Insight are just such a good combo right now that you're kind of wasting potential if you don't take them, if you will. But anyway, PTA, I like to take PTA into matchups that you take short trades and that are winning and really easy. So like an example where I would take PTA is versus Kale, right? I would take PTA versus Kale or like Yon, champs like that. Grasp, I like into most matchups. I probably take Grasp the most often. That's what you'll see most high elo Fiora players taking right now. So Grasp is good in the range matchups as well as I don't know, champs that you just want to take short trades with, like maybe other bruisers, for example. I take Grasp a lot, like Set, for example, right? I want to take Grasp into Set. I take Grasp into Cassante. And then finally we have Conquer. And I take Conquer into any champ where you enjoy all-inning them, right? So Cho'Gath, for example, or Nasus. I also like PTA in the Nasus. That's just one that came to mind. Any champ that you beat in an all-in, like Garen maybe, you want Conquer. Yeah, take Conquer in any champ that you enjoy all-ins. Starting items. Yeah, this is pretty simple. Against any sort of winning or melee matchup, you want Doran's Blade. And against any sort of losing or range matchups, you want Doran's Shield, right, for the extra healing. And yeah, when you go Grasp, if you're ever, I guess I should say this, if you're ever going Doran's Shield, go Grasp. Okay, don't go Doran's Shield with like PTA or Conquer. It just doesn't make sense, right? If you're in a losing matchup, you should probably be going Grasp, is one thing I will mention here. First, Recall. So a lot of you have noticed that I like going Sheen on my first back. I do this only if I have Grasp and only if I have 900 gold, right? Do not Recall and buy a glowing moat. Please don't do that. It's a waste of, of gold and efficiency, right? So don't do that. I will rush Tiamat on my first Recall or buy Tiamat if I'm in a lane where I want it to be less interactive, right? And I want to have perma push. So against a champion like Nasus, where you want to be able to freeze and punish them with wave states, don't go Tiamat first, okay? Build that last when you're rushing Ravenous. But against a champ like Gragas, for example, where you would like to just push into them over and over and over again, well, then you should go Tiamat, right? Because you don't want to interact with Gragas a lot. You just want to shove the wave, have perma-prio, and just get good farm in the matchup, right? Your chances of killing him by letting him push into you are pretty low. Refill pot is really strong. If you can get this on your first recall, sometimes in certain matchups, I will literally prioritize a refill potion over a longsword, okay? It's really good because it gives you 200 health over the course of every sequence in the lane, right? So that's like 400 gold value on every recall, right, in health. So refill pots are really good. And yeah, finally, I will just stack longswords in some matchups if I want a really strong all-in and if I don't want Tiamat passive. So Nasus is like the perfect example, right? I want to be able to freeze the wave. I don't want the Tiamat passive. And I want to just look to all-in that guy on repeat in the early game. First item, always go Ravenous. Super simple. It's just the best item on Fiora. It gives you wave clear, gives you sustain, gives you all that good shit. And one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot is Presence of Mind. I've had some people ask about POM versus Triumph. I just like never having to worry about mana on Fiora. And so when you're playing these rune pages where you're like using more abilities and committing to all-ins more often versus like Grasp, I think it's nice to just always have like mega amounts of mana. And so that's why I go Presence of Mind. But you can go Triumph as well if you want. I just don't personally. Yeah, second item. Okay, this is where things can get a little complicated. So I like going Trinity Force anytime I have Grasp, but only if I have Grasp, right? Sometimes I will go something like Cyclosword with Grasp, but the point here is I never build Trinity with PTA or Conquer, right? I only build Trinity when I'm running Grasp. Otherwise, I think Spear Shojin is way better, right? I think Shojin does everything that Trinity does better. It just doesn't have the attack speed. And so that's why I only build Shojin if I'm running a yellow page, like Conquer or PTA, right? And if I want HP. Voltaic Cyclosword, I like to build anytime I'm snowballing, right? So if I'm really stomping the early laning phase and, I get to my first item really fast, I'm shitting on the enemy opponent, I like to go Voltaic Cyclosword second because it just makes catching people and all-inning them so friggin' easy. It's such a strong 1v1 rune as well for any champion that doesn't have high burst. So an example of when you wouldn't want to build Voltaic Cyclosword, in my opinion, is against like a Riven. I wouldn't. I would go Spear of Shojin or Trinity Force. I'd probably take Grasp and go Trinity Force into Riven, right? Because her burst is so high with Ignite, I wouldn't want to build an item that gives me no defensive stats at all, right? No health, no armor, no shield or anything like that. So yeah, that's when you go Voltaic. I like to go Maw second against double AP solo laners, or sometimes if they have strong AP top jungle, right? I'll go Maw second, super strong. And then Frozen Heart, I've never built this, but I think there are really niche situations where it can be good. It's just in high elo, people draft too well for Frozen Heart to ever be effective, right? You almost never see full AD team comps. But yeah, if you do run into a full AD team comp, I think Frozen Heart second is a super slam. I think it's really strong. You also can go DD second in its place. I just like the attack speed slow and the mana. It kind of lets you stay on the map for a really long time. Boots. So I like to sit on tier 1 boots often until I finish my second core item. Unless I'm in certain matchups. So if I'm against a Riven, for example, I'm going to go Plated Steel Caps after I finish Ravenous Hydra because I feel like I need it against her burst. If I'm against a Dr. Mundo, I'm going to go Swifties after Ravenous Hydra because he has a lot of slows. Same with Nasus, right? So you do have to think about the enemy champion and the enemy team comp that you're facing as to when you should buy your boots. But in general, I go Swifties most games. I just think they're fun to play with. I go Steel Caps into a heavy AD solo laner or laners. I like Mercs into heavy CC enemy team comps. And I never build Lucidities, but you can. I think they're viable on Fiora. I just don't personally. I like to either get movement speed or defensive stats. I don't care too much about ability haste, especially if I'm going like Spear Shojin. Then yeah, you really don't need Lucidities. Rest of build options. So yeah, you pretty much can build whatever the fuck you want after your first 2 items on Fiora, and it'll usually be good, right? So you just kind of think about what the enemy team has. Oh, they have a lot of AD champs that are fed. Well, then DD is pretty good third, right? Death Dance. They have a lot of CC and some burst, right? So I might want tenacity and the shield that Sterix gives, right? I want a split push, so I go Hole Breaker. I'm really far ahead, and I just want to one-shot people, so I might go Bloodthirster or Eclipse, right? They have heavy AP, so Maw. You get the point, right? You kind of, there's a lot of versatility in your items after your first 2. So feel free to build kind of whatever you want, depending on the situation. Some sample builds here. Let's say I went Conquer, and I'm against some Bruiser, and I want to have decent HP. And they have some AD on their team, right? I might go Ravenous in the Shojin into Death Dance with Swifties or something like that, right? Let's say I'm against, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a champion. Pretty much any champ. Let's say I'm against Aurora, right? And so I go Grasp for the ranged laning phase, build Ravenous, take Trinity Force because I have Grasp, and then I want to split push because she sucks at defending split. Well, maybe I'll go Hole Breaker. I guess I wouldn't go Steel Caps in that situation, but you get the point, right? Let's say I'm dogging on a Kale in laning phase, right? I might go Ravenous into Voltaic into Eclipse to just have a super strong, okay, as soon as I Q Kale, she's getting one shot with the slow and stuff, right? I just want to snowball as hard as possible. Then I might go something like Ravenous into Voltaic into Eclipse or Bloodthirster or whatever, right? So you use this, right, to pick your second item after Ravenous, and then depending on how the game is going and the enemy team comp, you want to itemize, right, for the rest of your build. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So just a really quick video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you do want to know, quick little plug, if you do want to know what items and runes to go into every single matchup, I will show a little clip of this in 1 sec. So guys, this is my school community, right? It's kind of like your Fiora handbook, if you will. So for every matchup, we have a short 1 to 2 minute video explaining the matchup and trade patterns, the recommended runes, whether you take or give prio, itemization, skill order, abilities to parry from the enemy champion, and then just general notes for the matchup, right? So this is like Aatrox. Let's say we go over to Gragas, right? We can see we take Grasp into Gragas, and we build Trinity Force instead of like Spirit Shojin, right? So for every single matchup, I have this in there. And so if you are interested, just join using the link down below to my school community. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned some stuff. And yeah, I hope to clear up some of the ambiguity. Fuck, dude, I definitely said that wrong. Some of the misconceptions and stuff. People have been asking me like what I've been building. And so I want to clear up some confusion with this video. I'll see you all later. Doses.